in. Maybe if you have some ideas for me, I'd love to hear them. I have, like I said, so many new things I need to add. I have a degree in physics, and I really kind of went into teaching for a couple years. Both of my parents were social studies teachers, and I still, unfortunately, still teach more like a social studies teacher sometimes than a science teacher, which is what I'm trying to change by coming to events like this. But I didn't really intend on staying in teaching. I started teaching physics, like I said, in the fall of '94, and kind of on a whim, I was seeing all these, there was this new thing called the Hubble telescope at the time, and I kept thinking, oh my God, we need to have a class in astronomy. And I kept asking, and the school didn't have one, and it turned out the county didn't have a class just in astronomy. And so in the fall of '97, I asked if I could start one. It wasn't on the list of classes. We had to call it research at first, but eventually they added it to the county list. And so, and I was really just terrible as a teacher. I hadn't had any education classes whatsoever. I thought by seeing how good my parents were that I could just walk in on day one and be a good teacher. And I'm still not there, you know. And so I had a lot to learn, but one of the few good things I did early in my career was started having astronomy nights and going out with my students. Even early on when I had no idea what I was doing, at least we were outside and learning together and learning the night sky. And we really have fun with this. And so we still do this every month and go out, and sometimes we do all kinds of fun things. We'll have a bonfire, have a barbecue around it, and really try to get a lot of kids out and people from the community come out, and it's become a nice event over the years. Had a lot of nice opportunities. I got to do a couple of the microgravity flights, but even in that case, I'm not going to share all this, but even in that case, those flights and everything, I was realizing at that point that it was still all about me. It wasn't, it was inspiring me as a teacher, but not my students. And I thought, man, I have to do more things to get my students involved. And it's so funny because I guess I subscribe to the Tim Slater school of thought on teaching, that my number one goal, and I swear my first slide is when I put up my goals for the year, I want you to love astronomy. I swear that it's the first thing on the first slide that I give. I want you to love it, because if I get you here, I'm going to get you here. You're going to want to learn. I won't be able to stop you from learning once you have a love for it, once you have a taste for how beautiful the subject is. So I started trying to do some things. We started taking field trips, which I think are really important, and something now that we do every January. And this was one of the first ones. I love it because we actually caught the end there of the shuttle program. It was one of the last times that you could see a space shuttle on the launch pad. And so we take a charter bus up there. It's just a one-day trip for us, about a 3-hour drive. And that's just been a fantastic addition. So I was like, all right, great. So I'm getting the kids more involved. And we started adding to the field trip at times. I had a former student of mine, so proud of her. She decided to become an aerospace engineer and invited us. Her company was working on the Google Lunar X Prize, and it was in Orlando. And so kind of on a whim, I'm not sure if I ever got permission to do this, but on our NASA trip, we kind of made a pit stop over at her company, and it was amazing, and I just thought it was such a great thing for her. I mean, she's sitting there showing the kids, and she's like 19, 20 at the time, and she's showing my students that she's running the machine shop and the lathe and all this stuff, and here's how you cut the aluminum to make this lander and all this. And so we started doing that. One of the great coups I ever pulled off, I had been reading about this company that was wanting to get into the private rocket business. And they hadn't launched anything yet. And I thought, gosh, it looks like they're going to launch pretty soon from Cape Canaveral, and we're going to be up there anyway.